Om. Om. Sai Ram. Just to recollect what we were discussing last week, um, the topic has been Varnas. I think already a few classes, I think 4 sessions, someone was telling me. But if you look at it, it is going to continue to go on for a few more weeks, it looks like, because Swami is spending more time talking about it. So I think we don't have much of a choice but to read and understand what Swami is saying. But I think one of the challenges we have is we sometimes um, question the fundamental philosophy itself which Swami is teaching. I think I think as much as possible we'll just try to understand what Swami has taught, and I think pray that we understand in such a way that we can put it into practice in our own life. And I think then we have to leave it to Swami. But we don't have a choice but to read what Swami has said and understand. If it was not that important, Swami wouldn't have written so much, is my view. So let's continue to read what we were reading and then see what we can understand. Saira.
I am. As the body is for the Jivi, the world is for the Lord. Whatever happens in any part of the body affects the Jivi. So, too, all that affects any part of the world moves the Lord. He becomes cognizant of it and he reacts to it. Just as you are interested in all the limbs of the body being in perfect trim, the Lord too is interested in seeing that every country and every part of the world is happy and contented. Will he harm any country which is primarily a part of himself? In matters relating to the Lord, all have equal rights, all are equal. Yet, one limb cannot carry out the duties of another. Each must do the task allotted to it. So, too, each Varna must carry out its allotted share of the activities of society and contribute its best to the welfare of the country. As the body has stages, society has the Varnas. If all start trading, who will be the buyers? If all are engaged in fighting, who is to provide the wherewithal for for their upkeep and maintenance? The food, the armor, and the equipment. So each has to do his share of social activity and ensure peace, harmony, and happiness. That is the wise course, the best organization of the society.
Thank you very much, sister. I think Swami is, there's no point in me paraphrasing what Swami is saying. I think just one point sort of stood out for me. Swami says, the Lord too is interested in seeing that every country and every part of the world is happy and contented. And that sort of stood out for me. Other than that, I would, because the Lord feels everyone is part of Him. Everything, activity which goes on in this world is part of Him. That's all. I think I will just open it up for any comments from others. Saira. I think in the I don't know, everyone is quiet, so I think maybe there's nothing much to discuss. I think in Swami says in matters relating to the Lord, all have equal rights and all are equal. I think the real equality comes as it relates to the Lord. What relates to the world cannot necessarily be equal, is what sort of I understand, or at least it seems not equal to all of us. So I think that's something which.
Saram, um,
Saira.
I think that God create everybody equal. I think Swami's firm assurance give that firm assurance about that. But like it's only that people and whoever followers like how misinterpreted and change it, and that's how it makes to believe that is like we were just thinking about that. But like I think Swami never did treat unequal people. Like that's very firm that Swami that's a big assurance that the word he gave it here, that everybody's equal. That's all. I don't think we have to dig it into further about this this matter. Sarah, this is my humble opinion. That's all. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I think if everyone is okay with the paragraph, I think it's pretty straightforward. Swami is telling what we should do. We should be doing our allotted task for the welfare of the world, or each varna. We should not fight. Yes, Auntie, please go ahead.
If we divide the society into different, according to the Varna system, one limb cannot carry out the duty of the another. That's what Swami is saying. So I think that analogy is very, very good for the society. Each group, each Varna, stick to their own duty, then there will be peace in the world. And it should do the task allotted to it and not to interfere in other things. That's how we can understand why Swami is advocating Varna system so much for all the. So two chapters I think we are going to spend about it. We should understand the basic thing what Swami is trying to tell us, why he is asking to stick to this Varna system. Sairam.
Sairam, thank you. Yes, Brother Dasan.
Yes, Sairam, brother. So I like to add to your point too. Swami nicely explained the whole world is like my body. Suppose in our body, in even the small the limb, or maybe in the nail part, if we have any pain, it's affect the body. So we don't want any pain in the whole body, even anywhere. So same thing, God also expecting that one. That's what Lord taught in all the religion. Love also and help ever, hurt never. Deity is God. If everyone follow the principle of that thing that is common in all the religion, then the world is going to be move very safe and happily according to the Varnas. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, brother, thank you.
Before we move on, I know we have discussed so much on Varna, but still something is I wanted to clarify one more time. One Varna is working on the other, like say, one Brahmic person, Brahmana Varna, working on a sutra or some other Varnas, okay? Not on this bone Brahmana Varna. So in that case, which dharma he will follow? Say for instance, in Brahmic, they say they don't care, they don't fight. That kind of mentality they have. The vasanas will be inside from their birth itself, right? But now they are serving in different varnas. Which dharma then they have to follow? That's all I want to know. Thank you, Saira.
Sister, the thing is, it's very difficult for us to say what they should follow. I think we realize that we will ourselves, our understanding of which Varna we belong itself is confusing today because of the reality in the world. So I think what each of us can do is we have to find out what we are and where we should be. But my view is in this confused state, what can we do? We cannot do much. But one thing we can do is if we are doing something today, for whatever reason we have come to start doing something, we will do that to the best of our ability, not thinking that we should do something else. We should be somebody else. I think that's my understanding.
So instead, then in that case, brother, Varna Dharma is, it won't be a priority there. So whatever the duty that you're doing sometime, so say that's the thing I'm trying to understand
So,
here. Only one thing.
See, Sister Swami has already mentioned that in India, the Varnas are based on birth. Okay. In other countries, Swami says, based on whatever people are doing, the Varna is determined. Okay, so today we are somehow landed in some Varna. Okay, if we are working in the business or something, then let's call ourselves Vaishyas. Okay, if you're working in the government, maybe you can call yourself Kshatriya or something like that. So we are in one place. Let us just do what we are doing. Identify the task which we are doing, which Varna it belongs to.
Okay.
And then just follow that as best as possible. Because we are outside India, Bharat. Swami has already acknowledged that. So I think we should, but rather than us jumping from one Varna to the other Varna here, let us stick to whatever we are doing and then we'll then leave the rest to Swami. Because Swami has also told about jumping from Varna to Varna. So if we are doing something in a particular Varna based on whatever analysis of our job is, let us just stick to it. I think that's the best I can think of. I will ask others to comment on it.
Thank you.
Yes, Brother Tasam.
Yeah, so Sairam, brother. So according to this book, Swami's thoughts, is emphasizing the Varnas. I agree, brother, whatever you're saying. When we moved out of the India or other, based on the Varnas country, we are, according to the work, the Varnas are decided. But Swami saying, if anyone saying Varna is wrong, mean that is they are ignorant. So if that's what we always take, the Brahmins is easy to understand when they are doing that work, because they are, Swami say, they are high caste, really, because they are.
So, brother, Swami didn't say that.
Okay. So the reason is, according to the book, it says because they are closer to the understanding about the Brahma, because they are all the time they're spending the time on the spiritual activities. But now they are not doing that one. So they are moving to the different Varnas because of the money involved. So I don't know, that is very, very confusing, brother. Thank you, Sairam.
Yeah. Just to clarify, brother, Swami did not say anyone is high or low. Okay, I think that's number one. Number two, people have confused, which also Swami has acknowledged. In
Yes,
Kali Yuga, people are now confused about Varna. People are not following their Dharma. That also Swami has acknowledged.
thank you.
But what Swami says is, wherever we are, let us do whatever we have to. Don't criticize the Varna system.
Yes.
But do whatever you are doing to the best of the welfare of the country.
Thank you, brother.
I think, okay, sorry, thank you. I think if everyone is okay, maybe we will go to the next slide.
Now, instead of attending to essential tasks, people are engaged in internecine struggle, fearing that the Varnas are great obstacles to progress. How can people who are unable to keep their body under control keep the country within limits? Consider that the fostering of the Varna system, which has been fostered so long by the ancients, is the most beneficial thing that has to be done. The Lord has not shown any partiality while organizing the Varnas. He has no such trait in him. Some persons ask, why should the Lord have such differences? No, he has no sense of inferior or superior. He's sweet all over, as a lump of sugar. All differences and distinctions are property of jivis, the individuals, who do not know the Atmic reality. They are the illusions of the jivis who falsely identify themselves within the non-Atma, with the non-Atma.
Thank you very much, sister. So I think again Swami is telling we should not be fighting. This is better, that's better, they are having it good, we are not having. That kind of an analysis. Make it political. And he says God doesn't have anything inferior or superior also, Swami has said. Again, reiterating that there's no high or low. I think those are 2 points I thought I will highlight, but I will open it up for others to share their thoughts, please. Saira.
Sairam, Arun?
Yes, Auntie.
They are engaged in internecine. What is that word? Internecine. In Telugu.
In Telugu, what Swami is saying, Auntie?
Swami is saying here, మనలో మనము యుద్ధం చేసుకుంటున్నాం. అనవసరంగా వర్ణములను అడ్డు పెట్టుకొని మనలో మనము యుద్ధము చేయుచున్నాము. That's what is చేయవలసిన పని
See, Auntie, internecine means when there are two factions which are fighting with each other.
Internecine.
Both will be harming the other person.
Okay.
So basically, two varnas are fighting means one varna is attacking the other, that varna is attacking the
internal struggle. Maybe
internal struggle. Internecine means basically both are trying to destroy the other.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So any fight where both are trying to destroy each other is internecine. Okay. Yes, Sister Vijaya, please.
Sairam, it's a deeper understanding of what this, number one, I get from the readings, Brother Aruna and our Sai family here, that Swami is considering only, mainly, I wouldn't say only, mainly India and Indians. And what is he saying about the obvious wrongdoings or the misguidance or the ignorance of the people following the Varna system such that they deny? It's out of ignorance, a lower class or then untouchables to have education and good jobs, and because that's also part of the Varna. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I know in my family is that when there are higher castes, they were supposed to get all the education, and unless we've talked about this, unless there are seats that are reserved for the lower class, is that part of the internecine struggle? Because there are always going to be struggles, and Mahatma Gandhi, Gandhiji was supporting the lower caste people. So the Varna system is like, what we know is you have to be very clear. The higher caste cannot touch the lower class, cannot mingle with them. The lower caste cannot even go to the temples, to pray. And women are not supposed to study the Vedas. All this was ingrained in the so-called caste systems in India. Not that it's right or wrong, but that's where the struggles, a lot of it is, I feel, coming. But who am I to know this? So, so that struggle, how, if it's based on a righteousness, the dharma of it, to support the lower class and to support everybody, there is no high class and low class. It is only a functionality, it's a role that, the work that we do. But in India, the caste system is much more than that. Am I wrong in thinking that, Sairam?
No. I think, Vijay, you are very correct. This caste system is very peculiar and unique to India only.
Yeah.
not anywhere else. It is this caste system, especially the whole of India, north as well as south. Anyway, we have these differences in system saying that, you know, you are a Brahmin, you are a Kshatriya, and we rigidly stick to those divisions. And though they are not following the Brahmana vritti or Kshatriya vritti, but you know, the caste, the name caste is the one important for people think for them. So they are dividing the society into these different parts, and then, you know, they're fighting with each other. That's what I understand, Saira.
Okay, thank you very much, Auntie.
Sairam, Swami clearly said all these are the illusions of the jivis who falsely identify themselves with the non-Atma. So all these things were created by maybe even the jivis who maybe way back, who were intellectuals, the category or something, they were purposely would have been twisted this Varna system to bring in something for their benefits. I can understand from the history and those things, even for the good purpose, this Varna system was created way back, but later it has been either manipulated or twisted by some of the so-called higher Varnas people to make more benefit to them. That could be one reason. And also even not only in India, in other countries also, not necessarily so-called Varna system, but the differences in the we call caste system, Varna system back in India, but here also some other way they have created some sort of divisionality. Even if we take Canada, the Ontario, BC, and Alberta, maybe Quebec too. These provinces were called as rich provinces, and their decision, it would supersede all other provinces. That's why there's some sort of other provinces we call maybe less prominence or less importance than so even not necessarily called Varna system or caste system. Even other countries, there are some, USA also, if you take different states, some states could be the designated as the rich states, and some it would be like the underprivileged the community living states or something. That's why we cannot really say all these problems appear only in India, even some other countries too, but in different forms. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, sister. I think the thing is, I think I'll just address a few points. Mr. Vijay said this is addressed to Bharat. Because the Varna system itself is, because it's established in Bharat, Swami is trying to fix it, no doubt. Number one. Number two, there is general in the public domain where people speak in English and discuss the concept that the higher castes have always treated the lower caste badly is something which is prevalent everywhere, this thought. But if you look at India, the number of people who are educated is very, very small. And if so, the thing is it does it mean that every Brahmin in India is highly educated? Everyone knows that they are not. If you look at, are the Brahmins having control over the education system? Actually, they don't today. If you take a country, state like Tamil Nadu, Brahmins don't have any place. Because of reservations, they have to go elsewhere. So, yeah, but still people keep on telling Brahmins are controlling. This is the reality. Most Brahmins are poor, actually. If you look at the rich class, how many Brahmins are rich means very, very few, in terms of percentage. There are other communities which are doing much well, but still the public discourse in India is the Brahmins are controlling. It's very, very unfortunate. This is a type of rhetoric which people who want to damage Hinduism have given to India, and Indians have gladly, especially English-speaking people, have embraced that thought. If you really look at the population of people who are educated, Brahmins, yeah, there may be some prominent Brahmins who have highly educated, no doubt. Then the question of, they did not share Vedas. Yes, there were some problems in some of the belief structure which has deteriorated, no doubt, which Swami says he has come to fix. I think that's a reality. But if you look at India, there are a couple, I will just mention two names because sisters take in India. I don't know how many others are familiar. If you take a person like Abdul Kalam, he will say Brahmin teachers helped him to get to where he has come. And he became the president of the country. If you look at Ambedkar, who was instrumental in even publicizing this caste division, as a child, he was neglected by some Brahmins, but he was also helped by a Brahmins also. But sometimes we only hold on to what is negative. The community has equal number of good people and bad people, whether it's Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, or Shudras. In every category, there are good people and bad people. Just because there are bad people there, we cannot generalize as an entire community is like that. I think that's my view. As Sister Anandi has pointed out, these problems exist everywhere. Even within the richest provinces, it still exists. Is there discrimination? It exists. Blacks will say we are being discriminated. Visible minorities will say they are discriminated. If you look at the native Indians who have been just massacred and completely destroyed and thrown to the corners, and the entire North American Western civilization sits on it. We are built on slavery. So these things have existed everywhere, but no one wants to talk about it. So slavery is nothing different than what was bad in India, in untouchability or something like that, because blacks were treated very badly until recently, till the 60s, 70s. And if you talk to a few blacks, they will say even now it exists. So discrimination of all kinds exists everywhere. But Swami says, let's not focus on that. But Swami is basically saying, stick to the Varna system and treat everyone equally with love. Don't have the concept of I am superior, you are inferior. So each of us have to work on it. We cannot reform the entire world. We can only reform ourselves. That itself is a huge challenge. So I think that's what we can do. Because I think what we are reading in the Vahini is for each one of us to take home and I think practice for ourselves. Because we cannot use that to measure the world, because even the world doesn't have access to this information, this teaching. So that I think our goal should, yes, it is true, people are bad in the world. There are good people, bad people. But I think what we should do is, if Swami took birth and he has spoken about it, and he has spoken about it when he was Krishna avatar also. Krishna also has spoken, which Swami is repeating, Sai Krishna is repeating. So the thing is, so this deterioration has happened even then. That otherwise, why should Krishna speak? So now Swami is also speaking. And I think we should just take it for ourselves. Let us try to determine what Varna we belong. And whatever Varna we have by accident also we have come. Let us do the best. And I think we should not switch Varnas. I think Swami has mentioned that also. Today one job, tomorrow another job. I think it was one of the paragraphs. I think that's all we can do. The rest of the world, other than outside of us, I think Swami has to take care. So those are my thoughts. I'm sorry I spoke a lot. Very sorry. Sister Vijaya, please go ahead.
Sorry, Mas. Sorry. Thank you for the clarification. It's a troubling story, and the when you say Swami is fixing everything, Swami is not here. We are his voice, his message. And then we already decided We cannot
No,
change his
sister,
psyche.
I will, sorry, I interrupt. Swami is very much here. Swami is not depending on us to reform the world. I think that is sometimes then that we are thinking too high of ourselves. I think Swami is very much here. He will always be here. So I thought I'd just sorry, I didn't want to debate this point, but I thought I just will highlight because
I know, but he also said, Brother Aruna, we are his message. Our life is his message. He has said it so many times. I'm not saying Swami is not here. Of course, he's here. He's the inner motivator. He's the troublemakers, he's in everything. And I think what you're saying is correct, because we have to assess what we can do, when people are behaving who falsely identify GVs, who falsely identify themselves with a non-Atma. And you see injustice happening everywhere. If we say, okay, I am going to take to my personal transformation, what about the community we are in? It's also part and parcel of the society we are living in now, right? It may not be our Indian society, our family, our caste society, but it is our society wherever we live. And it's like if we have the transformation in our heart and Swami in our heart, he's the inner prompter. Sometimes it's very hard what to do. You're facing this GVs who falsely identify themselves with a non-Atma, and every day is a struggle. Every day I had to ask Swami what to do, the prayers, the bhajans, the internal inquiry, the self-inquiry, it's so needed. So it's not easy, but you cannot give up on it and then rationalize and say, oh, I cannot do anything about it, it's Swami's problem. So
no, sorry. So I think somebody said something. Okay, sorry, sister. The thing is, I think I just would like to clarify. I think, when I made that statement, I am not saying that we don't have anything to do. But the reality is, if Swami said his life is his message and our life has to become his message, the first, I think there's a prerequisite before our life can become his message is that we become divine. If we do something premature, thinking that we have to do something, it's like, I would say, it's like a father telling a child, I want you to become a doctor like me. The next day, the father passed away. Let's take that. Then he had a medical practice. If the son says tomorrow onwards, I am going to be the doctor because people have ailments, I am going to treat. What to say of that? Yes, the father told the son, you should become a doctor and take over my practice. The son has not even passed his 12th standard. Is it right for that person to sit and practice medicine? Absolutely not. The problem is I think in the Sai organization, I would say, everyone has suddenly thought, now Swami is not there, now we have to do his job. Swami will say, first you, I think each of us have to ask, are we identifying with the body or are we identifying with the Atman? The day we identify with Atman, then of course, without our effort, our life will become Swami's message. There are people who have asked Swami, if he is God and he has incarnated, why is there starvation in India? Okay, so many questions have been asked of Swami. In Puttaparthi, if you go, there are beggars outside Mandir. If Sai Baba is compassionate, why is he, and if he is God, why is he letting those people be poor? Did he do nothing? Why are these people begging? So these are questions I think we should ask, because ultimately Swami says, okay, I'm going to go and distribute money to everyone and give them, because some of them, if you build houses also, they will not stay. Because ultimately the change has to even those people, it has to come from within. So I think as us, we have a job. We really have a job, but the job is first we become the doctor. We qualify the medicine. We should go through the medicine program and we should go through internship and we should get the license. and the license I think he will give. But I think if we, because see, we are all reading just Geetha Vahini today. Swami has written 14 Vahinis. Without studying this, do we think we have the right to claim that we are going to be his messengers? Impossible. It's like, I only studied one subject in the 6 years of medicine. In one subject, I have studied 3 chapters. Now I am going to practice medicine. I think that is the fundamental flaw in the whole of the Sai organization. Okay, in the whole of Sai organization, it's a big problem, because ideally, if it's my view, maybe I'm sorry, but we should read all the Vahinis, and we should be able to answer any question people have on any of the Vahinis before I can think maybe now I can tell somebody something. Until then, we are not qualified to carry the message or even to tell that we are messengers of Sai. Until then, it's not that we don't have anything to do. Yes, we have something to do, which is study the message and internalize it and transform ourselves and not identify with the body. Until then, Swami will say, you are still a kid, I am still doing the job. I think that's my view. I'm sorry which I have talked too much, but I thought I will just listening to you. I thought some of those was sprung in my head.
No, it's excellent. It's so excellent response, Brother. Excellent.
Yes, Brother Thasan.
Yes, Sairam, brother. Even the Baba, God created 4 Varnas, we have to understand in the spiritual way. We say one team, one God. For an example, if we take a Sai Center, or it could be Puttaparthi, we are doing different work. So we cannot, but our thought is we are doing Swami's work. We are not getting that fruit of the action. So when you have that kind of realization, you are not going to think I am doing different varnas, or that kind of knowledge. When you have the spiritual knowledge, I am not the doer. I am just doing for the God's work. If you think about that one, there won't be any problems. Nowadays, the people have the fame, ego, I. That is the main reason. Suppose if you take a president, next time he may be going to clean that Sai Center. He's not going to have any differentiation. So all those problems, the ignorant, if they have proper understanding of spiritual, proper understanding of Atma, and there won't be any issue. That is my understanding. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please? I think Sister Aruna is, yes, please go ahead.
So I don't know. I mean, I really liked how you explained it. It was very nice. So I just was thinking the same thing, there's not that we shouldn't say there's nothing we can do. What we can do is transform ourselves, understand Swami's teachings, and be the change we want to be. And I think that's, with my limited understanding and with my limited books that I read and listened to Swami, I think that is the only message I was able to get, because we need to be the change we want to be. And Swami will take care of the world being changes. Because the problem is when we think we are the doers, and we have to make the change. For the moment we think, this is my understanding, my thought, the moment we think that we have to change others, that's our ego, in my opinion. I usually think that's because we are not the doers. We cannot bring change to others. Swami has to bring change to others. But when we do our work the way that Swami wants us to do, I think the change will happen around us. I've seen that happen too. Maybe this is my ignorance, but that's how I understand it. So the moment we think we have to change others, but if you're in a position to help others and do that, and that is our job, then we need to do that. That's different, right? But I don't think we can convince or change others. That's not in our ability. That's my understanding. Saira.
Sairam, this is Akku Auntie.
Sairam.
Can I say?
Yes, Auntie.
Yeah. All we have to learn all the Vahinis and every point that Baba has given us, we have to follow it in and take it in and make it our part of ourself. So all our thoughts, words, and deeds will show that outside, and people can watch us and they can follow us. Instead of we preaching, our action, our thoughts, our words should be an example. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, Sairam.
Sairam, here a beautiful quote in the middle of the third paragraph. God is sweet all over as a lump of sugar. And if that is the case, why God is bitter to us sometimes? Why we taste differently? If it is sugar, it always we should be having the sweetness taste instead of why it gives us sometimes the bitter taste.
Very good question, sister. I think it's diabetes is could be one reason. We can't even,
Yeah,
there's a nice story which Swami has told. Maybe if you'll permit, I will tell the story. Swami, this is a nice story Swami has told about the sweet. Why spirituality doesn't taste sweet? So he says there was one wealthy person. He used to eat a lot, and he developed indigestion. And once he developed indigestion, he tried every system of medicine to solve his indigestion problem, and he could not. And at last, one village doctor was able to give him a solution. Apparently, he told him, you take this rock salt. Take the rock salt and keep it in your mouth all the time. From morning till evening, you had to keep the rock salt. Just suck on it throughout the day. So apparently this person did this for about 4 or 5 months. And slowly his indigestion problem got cured. Actually, in the discourse where Swami is giving the story, Swami says, if any of you have indigestion, you can try this as a solution. And then Swami goes on to say, and then he realized his indigestion problem was fully cured. And Deepavali came, and he thought he should celebrate it in a big way. So he thought that now he's cured, he thought he should celebrate. So he went to buy sweets. So there was a street where all the sweet shops were there. And he thought he will go and buy sweets. And he went to the first store and tried to buy sweet. And when he put that sweet in the mouth, it didn't taste good. So he tried a few things and he rejected everything. And he went through every shop on the street, and everywhere he found the sweets not tasting good. So now one of the shopkeepers was watching him go to each store. When he went to that store, that shopkeeper said, "Oh, you have come to buy sweet?" He said, "First, I don't allow people to taste the sweet before they wash their mouth." So he gave him a tumbler of water and he said, "Go and nicely rinse your mouth, make it clean, and then come." So he went and rinsed his mouth, and it was completely clean. When he came, he gave him the sweet, and it tasted so good. Then he said, "Oh, how come you are making good sweet? Others are not making good sweet." Then the shopkeeper told him, "Look here, when you have salt in your mouth, no sweet will taste good. So I had to get you removed." Then Swami goes on to say, spirituality becomes bitter only because we have the salt of worldly desires in our mouth. So that's what Swami has said. So I thought I'll just share that story. But I will open it for others to share any thoughts they have.
So Sairam,
Yes,
brother.
Yes,
So
brother.
if we have any bitter taste, the God is always sweet, but bitter taste because of your action, karma, impulses, desire. You are the one responsible for that one, not the God. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam.
Thank you so much, brother. That's an excellent explanation of why we why we taste bitterness, sometimes because we have lots of salt in our mouth. I understand. Thank you.
Swami has given another story also. If you have malaria, if you have fever, he said none of the food tastes good. That's also something he has said. I will ask anyone else to share your thoughts. I think I am talking too much.
Sai Ramana.
Yes, Sai Sadesh, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wanting to add to the earlier point in one of the discourses, Swami was talking about Vivekananda and so on. And then he was speaking in the Institute auditorium, and then he told the boys, your duty is to become like Vivekananda and so on. But it is for the Vivekananda to take care of the
Sai Satish, I think we lost you. Can you repeat, please? We can't hear you.
Sai Ramana, can you hear now?
Yes, now I can hear you. Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. So I was just saying that in one of the discourses, while addressing the students, Swami had mentioned, while he was talking about Vivekananda and so on, he said, first, you have to become like Vivekananda, and for people of that stature to take care of the world. So it is more like, first, I have to work on myself, and after I get to work on myself, I get to look at the world and then see what can I do for the world and so on. That is one thing. And second example, usually Swami would use his finger. He would say, when you point one finger at others, always remember that three fingers are pointing at you. So he would always use that analogy and say that when we are trying to use that to say that somebody stands to be corrected and so on, since the three fingers point at us, it is like three more times that we need to look within and get to that state of being pure and so on, and then get to tell others. So that is one thing with the previous point. And with the second thing of what we were discussing, it's more like it extends to the thing of yata drishti tata srishti kind of a thing. So as is our vision, so is the world. So when for a particular reason everything had to be, one like the malaria example that you said, or the other reason when everything that the person had to look at had to be green, all that the person had to do was to wear green color glasses. And sometimes in that context of looking at the Lord, as we look at the world, we apply the same yardstick for looking at the Lord as well. So if we change the way we approach things, then we will understand that we are limited by how we define the ocean. The ocean by itself is limitless. So just thought of sharing that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other thought by anyone, please? But someone else also was trying to say. So if there's no other thoughts to share, I think maybe we'll go to the next slide.
Consider this example. A mother has 4 children, but she does not pay the other 3 as much attention as and care as she gives to the child in the cradle. Even if the child does not call out for it, she is ever vigilant to give it food. The other 3 have to come and worry her for food and things to play with. Observing this, you cannot pronounce her a bad mother or a partial mother. The mother adjusts her activities to the capacity and ability of the child. So too, though the entire world is his, though all are his children, he has fixed upon each a part of the responsibility of the work of society, according to the capacity and ability. To ascribe faults to such selfless, sincere, simple, ever blissful providence is like attributing darkness to the sun. Darkness and the rays of the sun cannot exist together. How then can the sun be the home of darkness? People who carp so at the sun do not know the sun at all. It is sheer folly, complete ignorance.
So I think Swami is addressing us finding fault with the Lord. I think Sai Satish was telling about using the same yardstick.
Yeah.
So does
Why,
anyone have? Yes,
why to
Anj,
blame
please.
God? Why to blame God for our, I mean, whichever group we fall into, it's not his fault. It's not at all his fault.
Thank you. Anyone else has something to say, please? Yes, Sister Vijaya, please.
So this is interesting. Hasn't Swami, correct me please if I'm wrong in my thinking, but with Swami says, how can then the sun be the home of darkness? But darkness is only the absence of light, right? Darkness is the absence of light. That's one example. So, so light, not just the sun, is the home of darkness, because even now, it can be daylight, but the night and the stars are still here, right? The stars haven't gone anywhere. The other example is that, when you look at the clouds are coming from, the water, the sun. So can you not say the clouds also come from the sun? And Swami has used, I believe, one example, the fire and the ashes that cover up the fire came from the fire itself, fire and burning of the log, the wood. So I don't quite understand this. Sairam.
Sairam, sister, good question. I will ask, yes, Brother Dasan, you want to say something?
Yes, Sairam, brother. This is a little bit of understanding mine. The Varna system, Swami emphasizing that is correct. But some people say that's wrong. Swami is comparing, the people say sun be the home of darkness. Sun doesn't have darkness at all. Sun always bright. If someone says sun bring darkness, mean in the night time, that is, they are ignorant. They didn't understand. So same way, Swami is emphasizing, believe the Varna system that is created for the sake of good, for the world and the humanity. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, Brother Sairam. Anyone else has something to say? So I think, sister, I think in your question, you answered I gave the answer also, I think. Because Swami is saying if night comes, if we say it's because of the sun, we cannot blame the sun. Sun has set, is what everyone thinks. Sun rose and sun set. I think what Swami wants us to understand is sun is not going anywhere. It's the earth which is rotating, and when it's rotating, because of where we are, sometimes we are exposed to darkness. If we are in a place where it's completely continuously exposed to the sun, we will never see darkness. So actually, it's because of the action of the earth, that there is darkness, not because of the action of the sun. And I think you mentioned about the clouds. The clouds will come and go, but they will be temporary. But I think they also have their purpose. In the world, so that the world can survive. The clouds come only to shower rain, so that the earth can survive and everyone in earth can survive. So I think sometimes these are things which we see in the world, but I think it's for the betterment of the world also. If at all something like that happened, I think my understanding, just because there is something like that happening, we can't say it's the sun which is causing. Whatever the sun does is just to spread light. I think that's what I understand. So if there's a Varna system, I think that is also what is needed, so that for the society to function. That's what the Lord has said. It is not because He has made someone be born in a particular Varna, because He thinks that they are of an inferior nature. Because I think God, I think from what I understand is, God is making all of us be born in some place, in some circumstances, so that within that circumstances we have a good opportunity to grow from wherever we are in our state of growth to the next state. I think that's what I sort of understand. But without understanding that, if we say, though there's darkness, Swami will say, the darkness is you are experiencing only because you are not receiving the sunlight. If you receive the grace of Lord, you're always in the presence of the Lord, you will find that everything is pretty good. But whenever we are not, whenever we think God is missing, then we'll blame where did he go? And I think that's my understanding. I may be wrong, but I will ask anyone else to share any thoughts they have. Saira. Yes, sister, please.
So it's just, if anybody needs to talk, please excuse me for taking up this time. But this is it's a very important topic, I feel, today. I mean, every time is very important. Every page, every line of Swami is so important. But it's also understanding. When the understanding happens, I believe transformation also happens. If you see people doing something that is not from the previous slide, when you said the non-atmic way of being, non-love, whether it's in the Sai organization, as you said, Brother Aruno, or whether it's in our community, and you see actions, can I then just say, I am not completely read all 14 of Swami's books. I know it is not love, but I haven't received anything inside from me to say what action to take. So I should just wait and just wait for the darkness to go away, because I know the sun will come out. I'm calling for Swami, the sun, to come in my life. But what is our role then? Because, this may be a totally wrong example, so forgive me. When the millions of Jews, I mean, there were so many other people also, other races and ethnic groups were slaughtered in World War II by the Nazi. The big thing people always say is that why the silent majority, the majority of people remained silent. They knew something was wrong, right? And maybe it was supposed to happen that way. Maybe it's all worked out. But for the people who are suffering, and many people stood up also, many people, I acknowledge the bravery of people and courage. But what is the role of the silent majority? Because they don't have the courage yet. I didn't read Swami's 14 books on the Vahini. I don't know enough, but I know this action is not love. What do you recommend we do? We just go for transformation and ask Swami, please send me the next Vahini teacher, Sairam, I'm sorry, I'm making fun of this, but
No, it's, I understand. I think you're trying, I think just to rephrase what you are basically saying, until we study and become fully knowledgeable, is there nothing for us to do? And should we not be active in the world? I think those are the questions you are asking. Um, uh, it's very valid questions. What are we to do? What is the extent to which we should be active in the world, and what is the extent to which we should pursue our own self-development? I think those are the questions, and how do we balance it? Very nice, valid questions. I will open it up for the participants to share their thoughts. What do they think they should be doing? How much they should do? How much is the action they should do in the world? And what is what do we do every day morning when we get up till we go to bed? Should we do something about the atrocities which are happening around the world, or should we just mind our own business? Isn't that selfish? I think those are the questions you're asking. I think they are not necessarily directly related to the paragraph, but I think it's interpreting what Swami is saying. He has fixed upon each a part of the responsibility of the work of society according to the capacity and ability. Okay, I think that's the key. So how do we understand what is our capacity and our ability, and what do we do in this world when so many bad things are going on? And I think those are the questions you have asked, from what I understand. I will ask participants to share their thoughts. Sairam, anyone and everyone can share your thoughts. Yes, Brother Dasan.
So Sairam, brother, the same question the Mahabharata, Arjuna asked Krishna, what can we do? The ordinary people, they don't have spiritual knowledge. So Lord Krishna said, until they understand the spiritual knowledge, they have to be in the cycle of birth and the death. So you have to take if you want to be a professional somewhere, any kind of professional, you're studying hard. Why we don't understand the purpose of our life? Purpose of our life is not to born again. So we have to learn the spiritual side. We have to understand the Atmic. And last time also, Vijaya, you told that help ever, hurt never. So when we understand everybody, then there won't be any problems. So until we understand the spiritual, until we understand, if you are not taking the fruit of the action, then you can merge with that one. Otherwise, you have to keep on come into the world and you have to go through all the problems. That's what Lord Krishna said. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Anyone else has something? Yes.
Sairamana.
Yes.
So I'll take this incident where the construction of the super specialty hospital had to happen. And of course, that was a multi-crore project. But one of the evenings when Swami got a letter from one of the students, he went into the interview room with the letter, and few minutes later, the door of the interview room flung open and Swami walked out, and he was proudly showcasing that letter he had pulled out from the envelope. And then he made the warden read that letter, where one of those boys from the school at that time, he had written, Swami, I know that you're taking up this very huge super specialty project, and I was thinking, in what way can I do something for this project? And so for the last 3 months, I didn't throw the clothes that in the hostel usually the students do to the dobi, and the student himself washed the clothes and he could save 50 rupees. He said, Swami, this 50 rupees I would like to offer to you at your lotus feet for this project. And to Swami, that 50 rupees was like millions, and whatever we want to put the value to it. So for Swami, that 50 rupee note meant everything. He said, this is what is true love and devotion. So like what Swami has been saying, it's about the quality of it, of the offering. So in this context, let us say the Russia-Ukraine war is on. What can I do at this point? Can I sit in front of Swami's shrine and have I prayed for 15 minutes or half an hour or 1 hour sincerely on this? Have I cried out my heart to Swami? Swami, can you please help, guide, and provide a solution for this? Have I gone forward and organized such community things where people get together and pray for this cause, where possibly 5 people, 10 people, community prayers are known to be very effective? Have I done that bit? Have I looked into some family that is sitting there in Ukraine and reached out to that family? Have I sent an email to somebody out there who needs? These are things that are under my purview that I can directly get involved with, because there are several things that are beyond me. For me to go and tell Mr. Putin to stop the war is not within my capacity. But for me to sit in front of Swami's shrine and pray for 5 minutes is definitely there with me. For me to see that can we have a community bhajan for the sake of this, possibly we can try. Even if that doesn't happen, with just our family members we can do. So it is more of yatha shakti, as much as possible within my grasp. What can I offer? What can I do? And can I offer it with that sincerity, that purity, that intensity, because that 50 rupees note is finally what Swami looked at, not the value of what that 50 rupees had, but the feeling behind that offering of that 50 rupees. So any small action, if we can do it with that profound intensity and sincerity of purpose, it will reach Swami. And when it reaches Swami, it has its own ripple effect, because we see only the tip of the iceberg. We do not see what goes beneath the ocean, and there is a profound effect that it can create. So I would say, what is possible within my grasp, I look into it with all that sincerity and go forward and do that. And the rest, of course, is in Swami's hand. Saira.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please? Yes, Sister Vijaya, please.
That's also a very, very moving response, Brother Sai Satish. Thank you for that. The other thing I was thinking about was that, the purpose of the Gita, that one of the purposes Krishna is teaching Arjuna, the Bhagavad Gita, is that, when I feel, when I can surrender that God is the doer, I am not the doer, and surrender all my actions to Swami, and then when I don't feel the ache or the blame or the sadness or the defeat, what Krishna is going through, many of us are going through exactly, but when we can give it as God, and we should identify with the Atma and not with the body, and then take action, Swami is here, he's the doer. I'm giving it, to him. Saira, thank you.
Sairam, sister, thank you. Anyone else has something to share? I think I'll just, we all try, just one remark I will make and then we'll move on, I guess. The irony is, we just talked about Ukraine, and I think that's troubling everyone. It's a war. Whether right or wrong, it's a war. Ultimately, it's a war. But even in here, Krishna is telling Arjuna, get into the war. And Mahabharata, actually, so many people died. And Krishna is saying, you fight. It's the irony is that we are saying, what should we do with the war which is going on, but whereas Krishna is telling you go fight. And one of the things I think I will just highlight, one of the things which Krishna tells Arjuna is, whoever you are going to kill is already killed by me. You cannot kill who I don't want to be killed. You cannot harm someone, you cannot be harmed. So you do what you have to. So the reality is, there are so many things beyond, as Sai Satish said, beyond us. But we can do our small thing for this large project which God is running. Running the world is the largest project. We are one body, each of us is one body of the 6 billion people who populate the earth. There's so little that we can do. That's a reality. But within our capacity, we can do something. And I think that's what Swami expects us to do. There is a discourse, in the book Hislop's, conversation with Sai Baba, he's asking Swami, what should I do? And there's one nice answer Swami is giving. Swami is telling, you study what I have taught. In your home, you practice whatever I have to. If you practice it very well, there'll be 2 or 3 or 4 people around you who will benefit from you. That's all I expect you to do. You study what I am teaching, try to practice in your life, and 3 or 4 people around you will be transformed, if at all there's transformation in you first. And that's all I expect. Don't try anything grand. So that is the explanation or the answer Swami gives to Dr. Hislop, which is in conversation with Sai Baba, if anyone wants to look up. Yes, Brother Dasan.
Sairam, brother, I'm not taking much time, brother, because we are talking about Ukraine, Russia. In Sri Lanka, one day they kill 150,000 people. Is any part of the world, or most of the world, they participated in that one. Even Ukraine bombed so many places, innocent people they killed. So my understanding is the war is not good for any of those countries. The innocent people are affected. Whatever, brother, you said, we have to pray. Whatever Sati said, we have to pray Swami. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam. Yes, Sister Anand.
Sairam, everyone. It's kind of similar, the points just now Brother Dasan brought in. Swami also beautifully said that our service should start at our backyard, not in worldwide or always we have to we have to start our service in the backyard. Means whoever whatever the community we live in or whatever the country we live in, we have to provide our services first to satisfy their needs. I just remembered that when the Ukraine and all these, the current political, the problems or the dilemma and all those things. Whenever indigenous children, in the last year, it has been very, very hot topic, and it pulled down to Canada's, the unity in diversity and all kind of, the things. It has brought down to the, the zero level, and the Canada ashamed of their, the activities back in, the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. How many of us wholeheartedly prayed for them, and still up until now, all those, the native Canadians, they still suffer. And how many of us really worried? And because we thought, because currently, the Russia and the Ukraine and the politically, they are very powerful. That's why maybe we think that that is more important than these things. I just wanted to mention that always our service should begin with our backyard, and of course I agree with brother Sai Sadi's point, and we can pray, and whatever the ability and the capacity we should do, whatever we can do, only that we should be doing, and those things. But I just wanted to bring in this point. Sometimes the importance we will give, when other people thinks those are important, we always think that those are the important things. But we have to heartfully think that whether this is important, or whether whether we can do something for this one. That's what I believe, in my humble opinion, we should be doing, and it would be worthwhile to focus our thoughts, words, and deeds. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, sister.
Sorry, Uncle. In
Yes.
the last paragraph, Swami had said that all differences and distinctions are the properties of the jivi, though who do not know the Atmic reality. They are illusions of the jivis.
That's a previous slide, no?
Yes.
Why don't you just go back if it's okay?
Yes. Yes. They are illusions of the jivis who falsely identify themselves with the non-Atma. So as long as we are, I guess, judging others as bad or good, or with love or without love, we are also identifying with the anatma, I suppose. And if this is a dream, then like if I have a certain amount of time and energy, like should I focus my time and energy on fixing this dream world, or in waking up from it? And I don't know if that sounds callous, like should we even care much about like the world issues, or I don't know, it sounds really bad, but I don't know.
So I think very good question, Kalyani. The Swami, I think if you read Dharma Vahini, I think there are some answers to this, okay? But what Swami says is, the world is a stage on which there's a play going on, okay? And everyone has been given a role. So we are all playing a particular role in the play. So we should know what our role is, what our the script is, and what are we supposed to do. So every person who is acting should just play the role. If we suddenly identify ourselves completely with the role without realizing that this is a play and I'm doing an acting a role, then Swami, there's a nice story Swami says. there was one actor, he was acting. It so happened, I think his name was something, and there was another actor, and this person's wife was also acting or something like that. So suddenly in the play he is supposed to get off the stage. He decides, no, I'm going to be, because my wife is also on the stage, so I'm going to be on the stage, and the drama is gone. The thing is, if we see the reality today is, and in this what is called democracy, everyone in the city thinks that they are ruling the world, they are ruling the country. Even though we elect people, everyone thinks that they have a role to play. If you go to a company, when you are doing your work, you are allotted a job, you have an 8 hours work, but sometimes we are looking at who is doing their job and who is not doing their job. Yes, but ultimately each one, to look after that, there is someone. A manager job is to look after that. And if the manager is not doing job, manager will look after the manager's job. That's the way an organization is arranged. But if I suddenly think I'm the CEO of the company and start doing things, then somebody will arrest me and say, you are doing what you're not supposed to, authorized to do. That's what will happen in a company. So It's just the same in the world also. God has given me a role, and we should be very clear what is our role, and we should do that role extremely well. And I think that's all it is. But we do that thing knowing very well there is somebody who is the director of the play who is directing. Suddenly, if we play God, then everything falls flat. I think many times people think God is there, not there. There is no director for this play. Now I am going to be the director. Then instead of using my script, I tell people, no, this should be your script. You play this, you play that. Means then I have become the director. So one of the biggest problems in this world is everyone is playing God. Especially in the religious sphere, everyone is playing God. And that is what causes problem. And I think we should know where we are and do our job very well. And I think that's my understanding. But then if others are being prompted by God to play God, and it is their job. But my understanding is we should not play God. We should be very, very clear. Just because Swami has said you are God and you and I are one, I shouldn't think tomorrow I'm going to give darshan and try to materialize vibhuti and ask people to sing bhajan and I will sit on a chair, which many people are doing today. I think we should not play God. God has given different people a role and let them do, and He is still present to manage it. And sometimes things go wrong because Hiranyakashipu was there, Prahlada was put to a lot of trouble. If somebody says I'm going to fix Hiranyakashipu will fix that person also. Vibhishana tried to advise Ravana, but only so much you can do. So he had to run and take refuge at Rama. If Vibhishana thought, okay, I'm going to fix my brother and so on, he will be completely destroyed. So, but the thing is, he realized there's only so much I can do. Now I will take surrender at the feet of the Lord. So I think it's knowing how much we can do and what should be done. And if that is not possible, take refuge with the Lord. Vibhishana has a classic example. His brother was a king. He was not doing the right things. He spoke. When it was not working, he said, I rest my case, and he ran after Rama and fell at his feet. Okay, I think that is a classic good example for us to follow. I think that's my understanding. So we can do that. We can do within our capacity something and then go and take refuge at the Lord. This is my understanding. It's not necessarily, but I thought I will just share my thought. I will ask others to share if they have some thought. Okay, Saira.
So Sairam brother, I like to add to the point you nicely explained about we are playing the drama. We have to play whatever the role given with a happy. So you are not supposed to get the fruit of the action. Even Lord Krishna, he said that he's doing the work, but he's not clinging to the action. When you are not clinging to the action, then you are not caught into the birth and cycle of the birth. So Atma is not attached to anything. Atma never enjoy good or bad. It's only a witness. So you are not the body, you are the Atma. Then once you understand the principle of who you are, then you are not going to attach to the accent. So do not cling to the accent. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, brother. It's 4:24. We have 6 minutes left. I thought I will. There's a nice story. I think I've shared it a couple of times, but maybe I will repeat it again once. This question was asked. Swami was addressing this question specifically. If somebody is not doing the job, should we do the job? Okay. So Swami gives a nice story. There was a washerman, Dhobi, okay, living in a village, and he usually cleans clothes, collects clothes, cleans clothes. He had 2 donkeys, he will, make the donkeys carry the clothes and go to the river, wash it and come and then dry. And then he had a dog, which actually is looks after, the security of the place, because people can steal, the clothes. So the dog's job was to safeguard the security of the place. One day there was a huge wedding in the village, a wedding which had never taken place at that scale. So there was a wedding and there were lots of guests, lots of clothes to be washed. So this washerman had extra work that day. So he went double the amount of work. He washed and apparently he came back. He dried the clothes and went to sleep. He was so tired. The dog was neglected that day. The dog didn't get food because the washerman was very busy. So the washerman had slept off and there were expensive clothes which was washed and hung to dry. And at the night, some thieves entered the place. The dog, which did not have enough food, was just lying and just dozing off. These donkeys, though they had done a lot of work, they were awake. So they saw this thief coming in and they realized that the dog was not barking and chasing them away. So the donkeys thought they should do something about it. And apparently they started braying. Okay, that's all they know. They don't know how to bark, so they brayed. And they thought the thief will get scared and run away. The thief, because at least the dog will bite, that's what the thief will be scared. But that fellow stole and started going away. But what happened was, when this braying, the washerman got upset because he was sleeping and he was tired, and these donkeys are braying and disturbing his sleep. So apparently he jumped up from his sleep. He grabbed a couple of some nice stick and beat these donkeys up nicely. Okay, beat then that's a lot of the donkeys which tried to help the farmer, the washerman, by acting like the dog. So I will just leave with this story. So this is the story Swami has told. What happens when you do something which you are not supposed to do, even though it may be well intentioned. So I think with those thoughts, you can mull over this and see, what is our role in this world. Very nice stories. So, sometimes Swami gives these thought-provoking stories for us to understand. Am I the donkey? Am I the dog? And if the dog is not doing the job, should I bray? I think that's what I would say. So with those thoughts, I will just pause. If someone has something to say, not about the story, but anything else, please go ahead and we will close the session today. Saira. Okay, Sairam, everyone. If anyone wants the reference to that discourse, I will give you the discourse, the date when Swami has said this. You can go up and read. We will close the study circle with Samastaloka Saira. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam, everyone.
Sairam, brother.
Thank you, Sai Ram. Sai.
Thank you.